Yeah, it's a little cold.
Yeah, it is.
I see snow. No fun.
Yes, but it was just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Not. I guess it could be worse.
Morning, Mr. John. Morning, everybody.
Hello, hello. How are you guys?
I'm pretty good. So cold today. I'm freezing.
Yeah, that's the problem when you've had warm days and then suddenly it becomes cold again.
Yes.
You think your it feels even colder because
Yes.
you're like not ready for it.
It seems like we're getting back to February.
Well, that's March. March is like some days it's spring, some days it's winter. That's how it is.
Good morning, teacher.
Hello, everybody. Hey, Fatima, how are you?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone.
How are you, Siham?
I'm sick. I'm not good.
Oh, no.
Don't feel better.
Is it because of the change in the weather, you think?
And maybe I have flu because it's weather.
That's usually what happens to me. I start to feel a little,
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, you can't help it. That's how it is.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad you're here anyway.
Crazy weather.
Well, this is March, right? February is February is usually like winter. March could be spring one day, winter the next. So yeah, it feels it feels like winter again.
We are like March.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just
good.
Well, it's gray. It doesn't. Not very. No sun. Yeah. All right. Well, hey guys, why don't we go ahead and get started? It is Thursday. It is March, but it feels again like February. So, yeah, it did snow a little bit last night. So I don't know if you guys have just a little bit, just a dusting of snow. I'm looking out my window here, and I can see on my deck back here, it's got a little bit of snow, and on the cars too. So, yeah, not so great. Now, a lot of discussion in the news recently about money. Now, I don't mean necessarily like the lottery or how much money people are making. No, this money has been a discussion we've had actually for a long time. It is the penny. You see, here's a problem we have with the penny. Do you know what the problem is about the penny? The problem is it's actually not a penny to make. So a lot of questions have been asked, and not just recently, but for the last several years. Is it time for us to retire the penny? Is it time to say goodbye to the penny? Now, as you may know, the penny is 1 cent. And of course, many years ago when we paid cash for everything, we needed change, right? We needed money, we needed coins, nickels, dimes, and so on. But the problem here is the penny has become very expensive to make. So do you know how much it costs to make 1 penny? Does anybody know?
35 cents.
Well, not that much.
$3.
It's too much money. No, I'm going to show you right here. If you zoom in here on this article, it says right here, the penny costs 3.7 cents to make. So basically, it almost costs 4 pennies to make 1 penny. And as you can see, that's kind of a problem. It's becoming more expensive to make pennies than to actually spend a penny. And the other problem here really is, does anybody really keep pennies? So right now, let's ask the class right now. Do you guys have any pennies in your house right now that you know about? Raise your hand if you know that you have pennies in your house. Raise your hand. Let's see how many people know if they have pennies. Okay, so I see 2 people. Okay, okay. All right, now my other big question to Jasmine and May and Gada is, do you actually use those pennies? Hmm?
Definitely
My
not.
kids, my kids, they keep all the coin, and sometimes they use them to shop.
To shop with a penny? Well, what do they,
Yes.
what are they
When they
buying?
go to go Dollar Tree, go buy some stuff, the toys,
Yeah,
some
but then
cosmos.
yeah, but the problem is they still need many pennies to pay for something. Well, May, that's amazing. You're still keeping pennies. Okay, that's really amazing. Oh, excuse me. Well, anyway, so this has become a problem in the United States. It's becoming more expensive to make pennies. And the other problem, May, is most people don't keep their pennies. In fact, some people guess that we put more pennies in the garbage, that people just throw away pennies, than we actually have currently in circulation, that people are currently using. I don't know if that's true, but it's probably true that most people throw away their pennies. I don't think many people actually spend their pennies, right? So Gada, you don't spend any of your pennies? You don't find any purpose for the pennies?
I get it from Dollar Tree when I bought something, and
Yeah.
they give me a lot of them, and I don't spend it anymore because they refuse to
In fact, yeah,
produce it anymore.
yeah, I know some places like, sorry, no, we won't accept pennies. Yeah, that's true. That is definitely true.
Yes, so
In fact,
there are still in my purse.
yeah,
I
and
don't use it.
well, so clearly this is a problem. And if you notice here, when it comes to something, what are we going to do without the penny? We'll talk about that in just a moment. But this article was just kind of describing about the problem with pennies. Now, it's not just pennies that are a problem too. Nickels have also become more expensive to produce. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. But the truth is, this has been a discussion we've had for a long time. I know people are talking about it today, and they've discussed maybe that the United States is going to stop using the penny. But we've discussed this for a long time, especially since credit cards have become more popular. Most penny people now aren't really using cash. But the truth is, the coins, especially pennies, they've always been a point of discussion. And in fact, it used to be like when I taught, when I first started teaching classes about 25 years ago, I actually talked about this about 25 years ago. And at the time, the penny cost a penny and like 4/10 of a cent, so it cost a little bit more to make a penny than it does today. It costs almost 4 cents. So I think that's a big question people are asking. Should we actually keep it? So let's take a look. According to the United States Mint, right, they're the ones who make the penny, it costs 3.7 cents to make a penny. And here's another surprise, class. It costs 13 cents to make a nickel, and a nickel is only 5 cents. So as more businesses are going cashless, right? So as you go into businesses, many of them are accepting maybe only a credit card. The question I have for everybody is it time to retire these coins, especially these 2 coins, the nickel and the penny? And what do you think will happen to the prices of things? How will they adjust if we stop using the penny and the nickel? Remember, the penny is 1 cent and the nickel is 5 cents. And then my other question is, should we just stop using cash completely? So let's start with the first question, guys. So what do you think? Is it time to say goodbye to the penny and the nickel? What do you think? Is it time to stop using these coins? I mean, honestly, how many people here in the class use pennies and nickels? Probably not many. So what do you think? Who has an opinion here? What do you think? I know, May, your kids would be sad, right, without these coins?
The school teaching kids to learn about the money. They need to know the different coins. So maybe we need it.
Well, but they could just teach the other coins. They don't have to teach the penny or the nickel. But what do you think about this, May? Do you think we should keep these two coins even though they cost more money to make?
Yeah, people we don't use that much. Maybe you need to retire the
Okay.
penny.
Okay. So you think retire the penny but keep the nickel?
The nickel can be retired too, because
Really?
it don't use much too.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, let's
And
get some.
diamond too.
Okay. Well, let's get some other opinions. Who else has an opinion here? What do you think? What do you think? Who else? Does anyone agree with May that we should retire these two coins? What do you think?
In my opinion, I agree with May, because now a lot of people use credit cards and just a few use the I don't know, the real money.
Cash. Mm-hmm.
Cash.
Well, so Patricia, let's talk about yourself for a moment. Do you use cash in any situation?
And just a few times. I mostly use credit card.
So why do you think cash is becoming less popular or less common? What could be a reason? Do you think it's because it's just difficult to carry all that money around?
No, I'm not sure about. I don't have the correct answer, obviously, but in my opinion, it's for me it's easier to use the credit card, the credit card
Mm-hmm.
than cash.
Well,
Even because I need to go to the bank to to have my money
mm-hmm.
and then use it. And for me, I'm a newcomer here, and for me right now it's pretty complicated to
Mm-hmm.
use the money, because I'm not familiarized
Yeah.
with the value of each bill or
Yeah.
coin.
Well, like the currency, like the exchange, it's hard to keep. Yeah. So, for example, Patricia, when my wife and I would travel to Canada, Canada uses the dollar, the Canadian dollar, but the
That's
value is much higher. So American money has more power in Canada.
Mhm.
But I never can quite understand, is that cheaper? Is that more, so usually what I do is I just take my phone and do the exchange to see, is it,
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
but I do kind of understand it. Cash, I mean, I think you explained it pretty well. I think most people have stopped using cash because it's just easier to use a card. I
Mhm.
mean, like you said, you don't have to go to the bank or an ATM. You can just use the card. So I think that explains a lot. So
Yes,
I think
correct.
that explains it pretty well. So, all right, Gata, what do you think? Should we say goodbye to these coins?
I think we have to stop using cent, but not stop using nickel or 5
Okay.
cents, because of the issue related to the taxes and the shop, which when we go shopping and the price put it the product, it's like 13.95.
Yeah.
It's the issue related to the taxes. If you use it as a reason for paying taxes, we can say 13.95. So
Now,
you can use on nickel instead
well,
of cent.
now the good news, the good, or I shouldn't say the good news, but the discussion about eliminating the penny is almost exactly what you have said, which is if you eliminate the penny, the nickel then becomes more important, because the first question is what are we going to do with prices? We can't have prices now that require a penny. Like if, for example, you said something 5, like 0.95, that's fine. Yeah. But what if the cost is 96 cents instead of 95? Well, clearly you would have to do one of two things. You would have to go down to 95 cents, or you would have to what's called rounding up to $1. So the
So
nickel
it
would
will make
become,
a problem. It will
yeah.
make a
So
problem, yes.
that's one problem, is it would affect prices. And if you eliminate the penny, you need a nickel, because then you'll have to start changing the prices to something like 5 cents. So
And it will be very hard for the prices to be adjusted.
well, and it also shows you who's going to make the adjustment. Because for example, when you make a product and you put a price on it, well, the person selling the product could be living in a different place where the cost of something might change. Just because we call it the manufacturer's suggested retail price. That's the same price that everybody would pay. But come on, if you travel to one place or another, or buy online or buy in person, sometimes you find it cheaper, right? And so they're
It's
always
a
changing
problem. It's a
prices. I
problem.
mean, yeah, it's
And
going to be
it's
a
a problem
problem.
also to apply this all decisions on all abroad, the US and
I
all
mean,
the states. And
I know, on everything. That would be a very
yes,
difficult. So I do understand there's that problem. So Adeline, what do you think?
In my opinion, it's necessary to use both, but
Okay.
in the for the another place they don't accept the card. Like during the summer,
Yeah.
the people who use the garage before selling the
Yeah.
item, when you bring the card, they don't take, they need
Yeah.
cash. Like that, for me, in my opinion, both
hmm
are necessary.
Well, certainly, for example, if you try to park, sometimes if you park for a special event, like a sports event, usually the people working the parking lots uh, only take cash. So that could be a problem. Now, but on the other hand, Adeline, I don't think many people want to take nickels, nickels and pennies. If they say it's $5, I don't think they want you to give $5 in pennies to pay for the parking. So I think it does cause a problem, because I do agree with you. Some people still take cash and they have to give change. I mean, if you pay with cash, they have to give you change. So that is an interesting question. So, okay. All right. Anybody else have any thoughts? Yeah. Gada, what else do you have to say?
in my country, it's a tradition, or it's a custom in my country to give the change by products. You can take you can take the change, but you can take the value of the change product, like candy or like something like that.
So wait a minute. Wait a minute. So how can you have like a 1 cent piece of candy? Is that possible?
It's like a small candy. You can take a small candy.
Wow. Hey, class, what do you think about that? Maybe we should start giving change in candy.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
I think
Brazil is the
it
same.
will be a
In
more
Brazil,
useful.
it's the same. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, right now, guys, my favorite candy is this. I don't know if you guys know Tic Tacs. Do you guys know Tic Tacs? I don't know if you've ever seen these in the grocery store. So these are my favorite candy, and these are about the only candy I can eat. And one reason is because they're so small. Okay, now Gada, Barbara, Miriam, this is the size of one Tic Tac. Okay, this would probably cost 1 cent. So are you saying they're going to give me change? And here, put out your hand. Here's your change.
Yes,
Oh,
but
wow.
if it's in our country, maybe
Yeah.
small packing, little tiny.
Well, Miriam, if I'm traveling to your country, that's fine. But what am I going to do here? That's the problem. I don't think I could give 1 cent and one piece of candy. It'd be a little tiny piece.
Look to the bright side. You can't throw it away.
But then now you have no money. Now you have nothing. If I could eat it, I mean, I can certainly eat it. That's true. That's true. But still, I think that's interesting. Very interesting. Well, okay. So I think we can see that if we eliminate, right, if we retire these two coins, it's going to cause some problems. It is. We're going to have to adjust prices. For example, let me bring back the newspaper article I mentioned here. In the newspaper article, they talked about that you could maybe change the prices of things. Let me show you here. So it says, for example, that one thing you could do is change how much something costs. So this is what Gada said. Let's see if I can move it over here. Let me see. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to figure out how to move it over. Okay, well, I don't think I can, but I'll just highlight what it says here. Price discrepancies would be handled by either rounding up. So, for example, if it's 99 cents, you could just make it $1, or going down. If it's 92 cents, for example, you could go down to 90 cents. Now that seems like a possible solution, but as Gada mentioned, companies either could lose money in a day. If you think about it, if you're going down instead of up, well, you might lose the amount, or you make extra money. So the truth is, I don't know that that's a great solution either. However, there are some countries that have eliminated the 1 cent. For example, Canada, our neighbors to the north, they eliminated their 1 cent piece about 12 or 13 years ago. In fact, I remember when I visited Canada for the first time, I visited in 2013. So 1 year after they eliminated the 1 cent piece. Well, the problem is that people still had them. They were still using them, and businesses had to accept them until all of them had kind of made the changes and adjustment. So when we would go to visit, my wife had some of these 1 cent pieces, and she's like, we have to spend them. We can't use them after another year or so. So one problem is we already have lots of pennies. What are we going to do with all those pennies? So that could be another problem as well. All right, now before we leave this particular topic, let's just ask the last question right now. So thinking about, I know maybe this is not a question necessarily for the whole world. Maybe it is, but maybe not. Should we stop using cash completely? Do you think we should just forget about using cash and just use cards or some other type of like credit card or some kind of system like this? What do you think? I mean, Patricia said it's easier. Yeah, I mean, I agree. It is easier, but should we stop using cash completely? What do you think? Yeah? What do you think, Gada?
I think it's not a good issue or a good advice to stop using cash completely, because some people have a problem with using credit card or debit card, or even to create a bank account. What should they have to do? So stop using cash completely isn't a good decision. And for me, I like to have an alternatives for
Mhm.
anything. If I have any credit or some problem with the bank system or something like that, what should I do to buy things now?
Well, wait a minute. For example, you mentioned you could take change in candy. Why can't I just pay in candy? Could I say, here's some candy. This is $500.
I think I can use it at this time.
I don't know if they'll take that. Yeah, I don't know. But you do bring up a good point, Gada. What would be the alternative? Yeah, what would be the other solution if you don't? And of course, we can all understand here, thinking about credit cards. I mean, not everybody has a credit history. Not everybody can apply. Certainly, we could change the rules for using credit, but I don't know that that's a good solution either, because then everybody will just use cards, and then the question is, will everyone have enough money to pay for things? So I don't know. That's a very interesting question. So yeah, that's a very interesting question. Does anyone think we should stop using cash at all? What do you think? Does anyone agree we should not use cash anymore? All right, so basically it looks like everybody wants cash. Okay. It certainly feels good to hold cash, right? If you have money, it feels good to have cash in your hand. Not exactly the same having a credit card, right? Yeah, not exactly the same. Well, anyway, this is becoming a big discussion in the United States. I don't know. Before I move on, has this happened in other countries, guys? Have you had situations where your country maybe eliminated coins or got rid of coins or changed coins? Has this happened in any other countries before? In your country, for example? I mean, it's probably happened that you've changed money, certainly. Adeline?
But in our country, they retire the coins. They don't use the coins.
Oh, so you just use bills, just
Yes,
paper money.
yes,
Okay.
yes, man. Paper man.
So what's the lowest like paper amount? Is it 1 cent, 5 cents? I mean, what's the lowest
The lowest,
value?
the lowest value can be uh 100. Oh, I forget
100,
some.
whatever. Yeah, in your country. Okay.
I
Okay.
forget something.
That's okay. Well, you do bring up a good point, Adeline. In his
I can say 1,000 francs congolais.
Okay. Yeah. So but you do bring up a good point. In history, there have been many countries that had to adjust the value of their currency, especially if things became very expensive and people were carrying, thousands and thousands and thousands of bills.
Yes.
That's
1,000.
impossible. Yeah. I mean, that's impossible. I mean, who could bring that much money to pay for something so small?
Mhm.
So that has happened in many countries, where the value, they had to create a new bill or create a new system. So that's interesting. But your country has no coins, so that's really interesting. Okay. Siham?
Yeah, in Morocco too, we had changed the coin to paper. I don't know now. And in my opinion, the card is more safety than cash. If you had lots of cash and you lose your wallet, or
Yeah.
it's problem.
Well, that certainly is a good point. Carrying lots of cash can be dangerous, or you could lose it, and then you're in real trouble. Yeah, that's a good point. Now, Siham, I don't know, Siham, do you walk around with lots of cash coming out of your pockets?
No,
Just giving money to everybody. Look how rich I am. Okay.
no.
Some people like the cash. They like to feel rich, right, when they have the cash. I certainly think cash can be kind of fun, to have. But yeah, I don't know if I'd walk around with a lot of cash. So, Fatima?
Yeah, I have noticed that here in America, old people use the cash. I don't know why.
You mean older? You said older people?
Yeah, old.
Yeah. My mom does. Both my mom and my dad. They
Yeah.
still, and sometimes we'll visit and they'll say, "Here's some cash. Take some cash."
I
And
think that they prefer to use the cash. It's for that. I think that we don't we must
well,
stop using cash for
yeah. Well, and I think especially older generations, I think they feel that credit cards are still not secure. I think they feel like cash is real. I can put it in my hands. But what's funny is sometimes my parents might give me cash if I visit, and they'll say, "Here, maybe you need some gas money," right? So they'll give me cash, and I'm like, "I can't use this. What can I? I can't go to go inside. Here's some cash." You can, but I mean, I don't. So what's funny is they'll give us cash, and then sometimes my wife will say, "Should we go to the bank and put the cash, in the bank?" And I'm like, I don't have time to go to the bank.
I think that they feel how much money they spend.
Yeah.
If with cards,
Yeah, you're kind of like,
they
ooh,
didn't
how
feel
much?
feel
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we have no idea. Oh, we're just using the card all the time. Yeah, that's a good. I mean, that's a very good point, Fatima. And I think cash is. I mean, I don't agree that we should eliminate cash. I think we need cash. I think we need paper money. I think probably what's going to happen is maybe the United States will think about a different coin, or perhaps maybe reducing the number of coins we make. But I do think I do agree with you. We need cash, and I think especially for older people, cash is still, real. It's still something they can value and spend, and they know how much they have. So I think that's a very good point. In fact, class, something to remember. I don't know if any of you, maybe during the summer, are thinking about visiting a national park. But many national parks in the United States now do not take cash. They take only credit cards. And what's happened is back last year, I think, a group of older citizens. So Fatima, you mentioned older people. They sued the United States government, and they said they sued the national park system. They said, look, that's not fair. Many people don't have credit cards. Many people want to pay to enter the park with cash, and they lost the case. But the truth is they're trying again. So I was just reading this morning that same group of people are trying to go back and try to sue the national parks again to require cash as an acceptable form of payment. Now, that sounds great. I mean, that sounds great. But, one problem, of course, is when you enter a national park, there's usually just one little booth, and one person may be working the booth, and they may not be able to keep cash. It's not very safe, really, to keep cash in their little booth. So this has brought up a very interesting question about the value of using cash, because I do agree with you, Fatima. I think it makes it harder for older people if they don't have a credit card or don't know how to use it. Gada, you got the last word.
Yes. I want to talk to you about the case you mentioned about here about pork. We solved it in my home country at some government ministry or something like that. When we pay with cash, they refuse to accept it. But there is another option to pay with cash by using some online application to accept cash and transfer it into a bank account or something like and you receive a paper with your cash you paid and the government receive it and accept it, but not as a cash, but as a paper or the receipt.
Well, but even that has become a problem too, because a lot of places are like accepting that, like you said, using a paper, you scan something or you have some proof. Even some places still say, for example, they will require you to pay with an app on your phone, and that's the only way. And so sometimes you'll see people standing outside and they're scanning, the barcode or the thing on your phone. Well, again, that's a problem. A lot of older people may not necessarily,
in Japan, it's the basic way to pay. Because by your mobile phone or your cell phone to scan it and pay with this way.
Yeah. Well, I agree. It's more convenient. I certainly agree, but I also know with my parents, both of my parents and my wife's father, they're all almost 80 years old, and they're pretty good at using the phone, but they don't want to put a credit card, or they don't want to do that, and
it's not convenient with the older people.
It's not, and unfortunately, a lot of places don't care. It's more convenient for the place. So, all right, okay. So, guys, we're going to go ahead and move on. I know you've all got good points to make, but we're going to go ahead and move on. I really appreciate the discussion, but let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. And actually, our next topic, I want to come back for just one more moment to the article that I just shared, because what I'd like for you to see is the title of the article. This was an opinion piece written in the newspaper, but I want you to notice the title. Do you see the title here? It says, "Do pennies still make sense?" Okay, now that's kind of a joke, right? Because cents, S-E-N-C-E, sounds exactly like cents, right? As in money. Okay, so that's kind of a funny little joke. But I want you to look at the next part. It says, Colorado Springs experts give their 2 cents. Now you might say, why are they giving 2 cents? I mean, what does that mean? Well, actually, the title here, the headline of this article, is actually kind of a joke. It's a little bit funny kind of comment, because they're kind of playing on the word cents, right? So it sounds like cents, right? So that's one part of the joke. But the other part of the joke is the meaning of this expression. And that's what I want to talk about here this morning, because again, this is a very common expression that we use when we're talking about giving our opinion. So class, let's turn on our microphones. So everybody turn on your microphones. and let's repeat our expression for today. Okay, so everybody repeat after me. My 2 cents.
My
My
2
2
cents.
cents.
All right, now thanks, guys. Now, you might say, Mr. Chan, 2 cents, that's nothing. But what does that mean? Well, actually, here's what it means. It means my opinion. That's what it means. When someone says, I'm going to give my 2 cents, what they mean is, I'm going to give you my opinion. Now, you might think, what? Where did you come up with that expression? Well, there's actually a history behind the expression. If you look over here to the right side, do you see that there? Now, I don't know if you're familiar with this particular sport. Do you see what these two men are doing here? Yeah, they're okay. Yeah, so no, this is not politics, by the way. This is not this is not politics. It's boxing. So some of you may know boxing, right? From maybe you've seen television, sport. But anyway, the expression 2 cents, this is where it comes from. So in the early 1900s, if you wanted to go to a boxing match and see two men fighting, and you wanted to bet on one person to win or another, well, the minimum bet that you would pay was called a penny. 2 pennies, in fact. So this expression comes from the English, not American English, but from Britain, to put in my 2 penny worth. So basically what that means is I'm going to bet on maybe this man to win. So the idea is, in my opinion, this man is the better boxer. Well, eventually what happened was the 2 penny worth became, over time, my 2 cents. So this expression over time became a way just to share your opinion. Now, what's funny, class, here's what's funny. What's funny is if we retire the penny, if the penny disappears, people may still use this expression. Here's my 2 cents. But young children, younger generations may have absolutely no idea what that means. Now, this is not the first time this has happened in English. For example, think about your phone. Guys, remember your phones, right? So we use some older expressions to talk about using the phone. For example, one of the expressions we use is dial. I'm going to dial the number on my phone. Or sometimes you hear people say, I'm going to hang up the phone. Okay, have you heard these before? Dial the number or hang up the phone. Have you guys, anybody heard those expressions?
Yes.
Now, did you ever wonder why do we say dial the number?
Because the old kind of phone is that kind of
That's
one for different job to dial.
all right. So May, you're telling us how old you are. Okay. Yeah. So for example, class, this was a dial. Yeah, this was a dial. Now, do any of you remember these kinds of phones? Who's old enough to remember these phones? Let's see. Who are the old people in the class here? I see Miriam and Gada. Patricia, okay, pretty sure I thought you were young. Come on. Fatima, okay. All right. Now, Barbara, I know you feel young, but come on. Don't you remember these phones? Come on, Barbara. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, I remember.
You just didn't want to say you're old. Okay. All right, Barbara, I understand. Okay. All right. And then, of course, hang up. Some of you might remember the old phones. When you hang up the phone, you would hang them up like this. Or the old public phones. Remember old public phones? You would hang up the phone. In fact, if you look at really old phones, they would look like these phones here. So I don't know if you guys remember these. Now, I don't think anybody here probably was alive with these kinds of phones. My grandfather had maybe this kind of phone, but not this kind of phone. So, but some of you may have seen them in movies, right? Where there would be 2 pieces. Someone would talk into the phone here and then have an earpiece here. Maybe you've seen these in old movies. And then you would hang up. right? You would hang up the receiver. So the truth is, we have lots of expressions that we still use today, but nobody dials a number. I mean, nobody's doing this on their cell phones, right? You guys don't do this, right? I mean, you'd look crazy if you did this on your phone. Maybe you're playing a video game, for example, and nobody hangs up the cell phone. No, but we still use those expressions. So it's possible that this expression, my 2 cents, it's possible that we will still be using this expression. Yeah, we still say it, don't we? Gotta. But it's also possible that people may say my 2 cents even after we've retired the penny, because it's become part of English. It's become part of our language. So again, when someone says, here are my 2 cents, they're just saying, here's my opinion. That's all they're saying. But the expression itself, yeah, it still seems kind of strange because nothing is 2 cents anymore, right? And actually, if you talk to anybody, they'll probably say, I have no idea where that expression came from. Now you can tell them, well, it came from boxing. And that was how much you had to bet if you wanted to bet on a boxing match. Okay, now here's what I'd like to do. Of course, you might think, well, it's kind of hard to think about how can we talk about this expression? Well, let's give you an opportunity. So here's what we're going to do. So in just a moment, we're going to go into the breakout room, and I want you guys to give your 2 cents on these topics. Okay, now we'll do one of them as an example. Okay, and then you and a partner or other members of the class can go into the breakout room and discuss these topics. For example, real sugar or artificial sweetener in coffee. So for example, what's your 2 cents about this? Do you think real sugar is better or artificial sweetener? So class, how would you give your opinion here? What's your 2 cents on this topic? So how many people here would say real sugar is better if we put it in coffee? How many people would say real sugar? Anybody? Okay, so one person, just one? All right, Patricia says, okay, Jasmine, okay. All right, how many people would say maybe artificial sweetener, like Coffee Mate, for example? Anybody? Yeah, Adeline, okay. All right. And then how many people would say no, just black coffee? Nothing. No milk, no cream, nothing. Do I have any black coffee drinkers? Yeah, May? Wow. Got
Just
it.
today, I'm drinking the black
Just
coffee.
today. Okay. Okay. Now, sometimes I drink it, but I don't like it. So, okay. So that's the exercise. Okay. So in this activity, you're just going to give your opinions about these choices. So in the first example, real sugar or artificial sweetener, like which one would you choose? That's the idea, right? Okay, so real quickly, I have driving or public transportation, speaking to someone on the phone or texting, movies or TV shows, summer or spring, online shopping or going to a shopping center. So what I'd like for you to do is talk about these topics with your neighbors, talk it with your classmates. Now, of course, I gave you these as choices, but of course you could choose another option. There could be another possibility, but I'm just giving you some things to talk about, and you can give your 2 cents, right? You can give your opinions about these things. There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. It's just a chance for you to share your opinion. So the idea is maybe you have a different opinion, or maybe you have a third choice, or maybe there's something else that you would prefer instead of these choices. But the idea is you and your neighbors can talk about these topics and talk about your 2 cents. Do you prefer one? Do you prefer another? Or do you maybe prefer something else? Okay, so that's it. Pretty simple. A chance for you to give your opinions on some topics. So let's go ahead and get our breakout rooms ready. Okay. All right. So I think what we'll do is we'll do some groups of 3 and maybe one group of 4. I think that'll be good. So we'll go into the breakout room, and then I will share the link to the activity in the chat. And we'll start with about 5 or 6 minutes. We'll see how we're doing. All right, Adeline, can you hear us?
Yes, now I use my phone because I have a problem with my computer about the sound.
Yeah, I don't know what the problem has been. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it's technology.
Well, Google changes, all the time, so who knows? Yeah. Well,
Now I
hopefully.
be now I be back to my computer.
Well,
I don't.
if you need your phone, that's okay. That's certainly fine. Um, well, hey, okay, now guys, I don't have time to check our opinions on everything, okay? I'm sure you all have lots of 2 cents to share, but I'd like to know a couple of them. For example, what about this one right here? Speaking on the phone or texting? So real quickly, let's see, let's just see how many people prefer speaking on the phone. Raise your hand if you prefer speaking on the phone. Let's see, how many people here prefer speaking on the phone? Okay, interesting, interesting. Okay, so I thought maybe it was all the old people in the class, right? Okay, all right. How many people prefer texting? Raise your hand if you prefer texting. Okay, all right. Okay, so, oh, I see. So maybe it's all looks like some of the young people prefer texting, right? Well, let's get some opinions then. So, Gada, you said from time to time. What do you mean?
Yes, I need to text someone if I want to send some small piece of information like rating, like say hi, like say congratulations, like say happy Ramadan, something like that.
Okay.
Not all for my friend, not all, not my best friend. I need to talk to my
I
best friend,
see.
but
I see. I
not
see.
all my friends. Yes.
Well, I saw.
But if there is a problem solved, as there is a problem issue, I need to call. I need to speak.
Okay.
Because if I text someone who are in trouble or something like that, the problem will be getting worse.
Yeah, or maybe they can't really explain in a short text. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, one thing I feel is I really hate reading long texts. To me, yeah, just call at this point. But listen, some people are scared to talk on the phone. So now Miriam, I think Miriam is kind of agreeing with you, Agata, that it depends on the person. So Miriam, who would you speak on the phone to, and who would you text?
My mom, I want to speak on phone with her, and my in-laws especially, and rest of the people, some friends, just text, say hi and how's your family. That's it.
Okay.
No phone calls.
Okay, so Miriam, am I a bad person if I say that I want to text my parents most of the time?
No, I didn't do that.
Yeah, but I do that.
I think their voice sometimes, if you in feel depression, so maybe their voice feel you more comfortable and
Well,
relaxing your mind. So that's
okay.
why.
I understand that, sure, but sometimes I don't want to talk to my
Because
parents.
you are not far. We are.
Yeah, well, you're far. I understand that, but sometimes, Miriam, I don't want to talk to my parents.
Really?
Yeah, you know why? Because we just say the same things over and over again. I know some of you say, Mr. John, I talk to my parents every day.
Yes, every day.
Okay,
How
now, and Miriam, I have no idea why you would want to talk to your mother every day. Every day.
maybe daughters attached with mother, so that's
Okay, I see. Maybe that's the problem. Okay,
that.
maybe that's the difference. You know, what's funny, class? Remember we talked about small talk? Remember the whole small talk discussion? I'm pretty good at small talk, but I don't like having small talk with my parents. You know, so maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's the big difference, Miriam. Maybe daughters are different. I don't know. Okay. So what about our texters? Jasmine, you said you prefer texting. So do you ever talk on the phone, or is it always texting?
No, it depends the situation. I mean, if I want just to ask something really quickly, I send a message.
Okay.
But if I have to fix something, for example, for the doctor, I have to make a call.
So do you feel comfortable talking on the phone?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, because sometimes I think people are just scared to talk on the phone. So that's good that you still feel comfortable talking. So that's good. Okay.
Yes.
All right. I feel better. Phew. Okay, good. All right. Okay. Does anybody in the class hate texting completely? Does anybody not use texting at all? Really? Okay. Because some people don't even like texting. The truth is, I don't really like texting either. I like talking on the phone sometimes. I'm not a big talker, but I don't really love texting either. So my problem is, my 2 cents is I don't really like to do either one, depending on the situation. Of course, if it's an emergency, I'll talk on the phone, of course. Or if I want to, catch up with someone, see what they're doing. But yeah, the truth is I'm not good at texting. Yeah. So Miriam, I agree. The long text I don't like. So, okay. All right. And does anybody here in the class only text? And that's the only thing you do. Anybody? Okay. All right. Nagata, that's a good question. Sending a text message at the grocery. Okay. Now, Nagata, what happens if your husband says he didn't see the text?
I said I texted to you. Why didn't you get it?
Hey, the signal is bad.
It's a proof. It's a proof and the evidence.
Listen, yesterday I went to the grocery. My wife sent me a text message, and I tried to send her, like, she asked for a certain food, and so I took a picture of it. I said, "Is this Well, the problem is the signal in the store was so bad that I didn't get a response, and so I just put my phone away. So as I was checking out, and then I left, I got in the car, and there was her response. So, come on, husbands, we sometimes we don't think about those things. Okay, so just be easy on the husbands, just a
But
little
what
bit.
happened? You come back to the home or you come back to the store?
Well, the good news is that she said it was okay. That what I took the picture of, I bought it, and she said that's fine. So, but really, if I came home and she said no, that's not what I wanted. Okay, I'd go back in the car and drive
Thank
back.
God. Thank God.
There you go. Come on, God, I've been married almost 30 years. I know finally what you're supposed to do. Okay?
You understand her mentality.
Finally, yes.
Yeah.
After 30 years. There you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, okay. Thank you, Miriam. See, just a little patience. That's all husbands need. Just a little bit of patience. Okay. All right. Now, I'm sure you all had a chance to. I was listening to your conversations. It sounded like we were having some good discussions, but we need to move on. Sorry, guys. So, anyway, today's expression, my 2 cents. So, don't be surprised if you're watching TV or watching a movie and someone says, that's my 2 cents, right? Or here's my 2 cents. Now you know what they mean. What they mean is my opinion. That's it. That's what it means. So there you go. Okay. Okay, now, first off, guys, on Tuesday, I emailed everyone the complete list of vocabulary words and definitions. I'm going to send it one more time this afternoon when we're finished. So I'll send you the list one more time. And so I thought what we would do here this afternoon, or this morning still, is let's review some definitions, okay? So what I would like to do is we're going to use our emojis. Okay, so guys, if you remember where the emojis are located, so sometimes I like to use emojis to respond to questions. So here's a little exercise we're going to do using emojis to answer these questions. So take a look at our first example here. So on the right side, you will see these definitions. Okay, so take a look at them. So for example, help to get something, receive a diploma or a certificate upon completing high school or college, find a suitable place or time, move up to a higher position. Now, what you're going to see on the left side is you're going to see a word. So let's do an example. So the first word is advance in a career. Advance in a career. Now look carefully at your 4 choices. Which emoji is the definition? Okay, all right, so it looks like most people have responded. And guess what? You are correct. The answer is move up to a higher position, right? So when we advance in a career, we move up, right? We move up in our career, move up to a better job, better pay, and so on. Okay, now be careful because these definitions will change from time to time. So take a look at the next one. Take a look at the 4 definitions. The cost of a year at a post-secondary institution, such as a university, a specific area of study or profession, the act of watching over people to take care of them or direct them, permission not to do something. Okay, so take a look at the next word. So which one is the answer? Okay, so I'm seeing emojis, emojis, emojis. All right, very good. And congratulations, you are once again correct. An exemption is permission not to do something. So if you remember, an exemption is what we can receive so that we don't have to take a class, for example, or participate in an activity. In fact, I forgot to mention, because I wasn't sure if everyone here really knows about taxes. So, you know, this is we're getting close to tax season here in the United States. But exemptions are what you can use, for example, to reduce your taxes. For example, if you have children, this is called the child exemption, right? Or you can use exemptions like paying money into a retirement account, and that will reduce your taxes. So that's kind of like permission not to pay taxes, right? Well, you have to pay some tax. But exemptions are things that you can receive as permission not to do something. Okay, now look at the next one. So again, you'll notice the definitions have changed. All right, so the word is to lead to. To lead to. Okay, so guys.
Help to get something.
Don't use the emojis, Adeline. I know you want to give the answer. Do you know where the emojis are, Adeline? Okay. All right. So our answer is to help to get something. Yes. So something will lead to something else, right? So for example, saving money can lead to, you know, buying a car later, something like that. Okay. Yeah, there you go, Gata. That's a good example of an exemption. All right, here's the next one. Okay, so again, check your definitions. They've changed again. All right, so here is the next word. Okay, all right, I'm seeing answers. There we go. You can always change if you need to change the answer. So, all right, so the answer is yes, the act of watching over people to take care of them or direct them. So we mentioned, for example, supervision can be supervising children, maybe at home, or if you're a manager supervising employees. Supervision means to kind of watch over. Okay, so this next activity, now you see 4 choices here. And now the idea is you put your answer by choosing the emoji. So I'm going to read the sentence. You choose which one would complete the sentence. Unfortunately, there is a big blank for electricians, plumbers, and other jobs right now. We do not have enough of them to keep up with all of the work. Okay, so which emoji are we going to choose? Okay, all right, I'm seeing lots of answers. Very good, everybody. So
Demand.
the answer, very good, Adeline. A big demand for things. So remember, a demand is when we have a need for something. So I mentioned this actually on Tuesday. This is true, by the way, in the United States. We have a demand for electricians, plumbers, and other types of jobs like that. All right, here's the next one. So notice the words. Gotti, you have a question?
Yes, yes. I want to ask about keep up with. I don't know the meaning of that. Keep up with. Keep up with all the work.
Yeah, so basically to meet the demand. So when you keep up with something, it means you try to complete or match. So, for example, if you have more work than you're able to do, right? So you're trying to keep up with that level of work.
Okay.
So that's by definition, when we have a demand for something, that means there's not enough to meet that demand. So we have a lot of need, but we can't keep up with the need.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Thank
Now in a few minutes, I don't know, we may not have enough time, but in a few minutes we'll practice explaining, maybe discussing some things in your own country. Maybe in your country you have a demand for something and you can't keep up with the need for it. Maybe you have a demand for food or a demand for water or a demand for something and you can't keep up with it.
Yes, I got
Okay.
it.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's the
thanks.
idea. Okay, good. All right. Here's the next one, class. Same words. Look at the sentence. She will do very well at this job. She has a strong blank in medicine and has worked for at least 10 years in the field.
Background.
Okay, so Adeline has given her thoughts. All right, so it looks like most people are answering. So it looks like most people agree with you, Adeline, and you are correct. A strong background. Yeah, and again, the key word there was 10 years, right? Okay. All right, now new words. Look at the sentence. If you don't have a lot of experience, then you should try to apply for, it doesn't pay very well, but at least it's a start.
An entry-level position.
Very good. So as we said before, entry-level positions are usually kind of at the beginning, right? The lower level. They don't often pay well, but it's a good place to start. Okay, now guys, I think we'll have just enough time to finish our final activity. So as I mentioned before, our goal is to try to keep practicing using our new words. So let's take a look at our list here, because in just a moment, you're going to go into the breakout room and finish these sentences with your partners giving your own answers. So if you notice here, these three little dots, okay, this is where you can give your answer, your opinion about these things. So let me read them very quickly for us. So number one, I'm studying English because I hope it will lead to. Number two, the most important commitments I have made in my life are. Number three, I think you can find something all across the United States. Number four, if you want to fit into a different culture, I think you should. Number five, the three most important responsibilities of being a parent are. And then number six, in my country, there is a demand for the following things. Now, we may not have time to answer all of these, but we're going to take about 10, 12 minutes to see how we do with this activity. Okay? So once again, we're going to go back into the breakout room. We're going to keep the same groups, I think. Let me see who's here. Okay, I might change one of the groups. Okay, all right, so I'm going to change one of the groups. And so as we come back to the breakout room, I'll come and put the link to those sentences, and I'll come and check on everybody as we go along. So get ready, guys. We're going to return to the breakout rooms now. Okay, did everybody get through all of the questions or most of them, or sorry, sentences?
Most of them.
Where did you stop?
We didn't get through 6 but we solve from 1 to 5.
Okay, so you almost finished. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's hard to know how much time it takes to do these kinds of activities. So, so why don't we take a moment and talk about number 6 real quickly here as a group. So, as I mentioned earlier, we think about different countries may have a demand for specific things. I mentioned here in the United States right now we have a demand for nurses, doctors, a lot of these professional type trade positions like plumbers and electricians and so on. Now, that's just talking about jobs. We may have a demand for other things, but what about in your countries? Is there a demand for something else? A demand for, some resource like water, for example, or some demand for more jobs, or what would you, what might you say? Yeah, Adeline?
In our country, we have a demand for peace
That's a good one. I think a lot of countries probably would say that.
because they kill the people every day in our
Yeah.
country.
Yeah, so I think, as you can see, that's something that is hard to keep up with, right? We can't really, it's hard. We want peace, but it's hard to find. So, Adeline, I think, unfortunately, that's a problem in many countries around the world.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we have a demand for peace here too, but it's not obviously not the same as other countries. Okay. What about in other countries? Is there a demand for jobs? Do we need more work in some countries, or a demand for something else? Yeah, Siham?
Yes, maybe in Morocco they need the opportunities of jobs.
Do you think opportunities, especially for younger people?
Yeah, for younger people.
Okay, so a demand for jobs. Okay. Yeah, I think that may be a problem in many other countries too. I think right now in the United States we have a lot of people who are retired, not enough employment maybe for younger people. So that's not as big a problem as it is in other countries. Adeline, you have another example?
No.
Okay. All right. So no other problems, guys? No other needs for things in other countries? Yeah, gotta?
Yes, in my country, there is a big demand for doctors and the teachers and plumbers.
So sounds like
yeah.
some of the same problems we're having.
Yes, yes, and there is a shortage of water also, and it reflects on some kind of crops that we essentially need in bread and something like that.
So you make a very interesting distinction there, because often we have a demand for things that we don't have enough of. So I heard you use the word shortage, which you hear those two words used often together. We have a shortage of water, so we have a demand for it, right?
Yes.
So that tells you, class, that when you have a demand for something, it sometimes can be something that you don't have enough of, and sometimes you really need it. Now, of course, we could also say, Mr. John, there's a demand for, I don't know, Taylor Swift tickets. But I don't think Taylor Swift tickets are the same as
It's related to entertainment, not essential needs.
but the truth is, a lot of people want to see Taylor Swift in concert, and unfortunately, there are only so many tickets you can sell, right? I mean,
It's amazing.
Yeah, there you go. Fatima, you got the last word. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think there is a demand for doctors in the world now.
Yes, I think we're going to see a shortage of a lot of professionals. Yeah, I agree completely. So, all right, guys. Well, I hope we've had a good time discussing all of these things together. So we're going to pick up there in our next class, and we're getting pretty close to the end of this chapter, of this lesson. So next Tuesday, we will kind of begin to wrap up our discussion here for this lesson. So everybody, thank you so much. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you on Tuesday.
Thank you.
Thank you, teacher.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Siham, are you still here? No, she left. Okay.